Welcoming Janet. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Again, my name is Janet Brancato. I'm a registered dietitian here at the Valley Hospital. I work as an outpatient dietitian here. And tonight I'm going to be talking to you about eating healthy while traveling, tips for business and pleasure. And of course, traveling is exciting, whether you're on a family road trip, or you're taking a flight across the country, or even like a weekend hike. But are you taking your healthy lifestyle with you wherever you go? So we want to talk tonight about ways that you can incorporate your healthy lifestyle, whether you're home or you're away from home. We're going to have talk about some of these goals. We're going to learn some practical tips and solutions to keep healthy while traveling. And really, it's to feel your best while you're traveling, because there could be time changes, there could be long days ahead, and we want to try to feel our best, okay? And a lot of it starts with preparation. How are you preparing ahead of time for the trip? Most of us think about, oh, what are we going to pack in terms of clothes? But we also maybe want to think a little bit about our lifestyle and some of our choices when it comes to food or movement. So preparing ahead of time can definitely help. We're going to talk about maybe some foods to emphasize a little bit more, maybe some foods to minimize, again, to feel your best and to feel more balanced. Try to think moderation with the eating, maybe instead of indulgence. Sometimes we put things on the shelf when we go away and we put our healthy lifestyle away and we don't take it with us. So we want to try to think in terms of bringing it with us when we go away, okay? So maybe foods to think about choosing more often. We'll also talk about what are we drinking when we're away, maybe some of those liquid calories and how do those come into play, and what does our body need for best hydration, including activity. How do you plan to be active while you're away? And are there opportunities to be active? So we can maybe think ahead about that as well. And then we call it thinking mindfully, where you're kind of tuned in to what you're doing, maybe before you go, and then also on your trip as well, like tuning into how you're feeling, what you're choosing, all of that. And why does this matter? Why is it important to even talk about this or to even focus on this when you're going away on vacation? Well, like I said, you want to feel your best. You want to maintain your energy levels. And of course, like I said, travel could really disrupt that sometimes, having early flights or having long flights or having a long road trip in a car, it does expend a lot of our energy. So we want to make sure that we're fueling the right way. We want to support our immune health. We want to stay healthy while we're away, so we could feel our best. And of course, keeping our digestion regular. Sometimes that could even be thrown off if we're thrown off our regular schedules. Our sleep could get thrown off, our digestion could get thrown off. So trying to keep our healthy lifestyle going can also help with that too. And maybe just preventing what we call vacation hangover. When you come back from vacation, you're feeling even more tired than before you went. And maybe that's just from being a little bit too indulgent, or, feeling a little bit bloated or fatigued, or, things like that. Some of the main challenges when you travel is obviously the lack of structure, so we might not, we don't have our kitchens available, we don't have our foods available, times can be different, limited food options, unpredictable schedules, unless you're on a tour or something where everything's pretty scheduled out. Usually, if there's not a schedule, we feel a little bit all over the place. So, like I said, these could be some challenges. Maybe there's some social pressure if you're traveling with people, to keep up, or certain types of foods. maybe if they're opting for more fast foods or late night eating, or different things like that that can come into play. Obviously, if you're taking a plane or you're traveling to somewhere far away, there could be some jet lag or time changes, and obviously the fatigue that could set in. So the 4 P's of healthy traveling and eating, and keeping your healthy lifestyle going is to plan, to pack, to prioritize, and to pause. And we're going to kind of go through each one of those so that we can sort of define it and give some tips and strategies to implement it. All right, but try to keep in mind planning, what you're packing, what you're prioritizing, and of course, we'll talk about pausing. Okay, so having a plan. All right, so obviously identifying what kind of a trip are we taking? What kind of mode of transportation are we taking? Are we going by plane? Is it a car ride? Is it a far car ride or a shorter car ride? Is it going to be trains or buses involved? So what's going to be our mode of transportation? And that's how we could do a little bit of planning to see, are we going to be bringing some foods if it's in the car? Are we going to be also bringing foods on the plane? How are we going to plan ahead? So definitely, figuring out the mode of transportation and then having a plan. So the advanced planning could be maybe calling ahead if it's a tour or if it's a business trip or there's some meals that have already been planned out. Maybe you could call ahead and find out a little bit about what's planned. If you have a dietary restriction, this might be where you could call ahead and see if things could be swapped or if you can modify anything. Even on an airplane, you can definitely call ahead and find out what's available. Is it just a snack or are you getting a meal? And what are some choices that are available? Obviously, if you're planning the restaurants, you could peruse some menus ahead of time and see what sort of you can find, maybe a wide variety of choices and things that would also fit with your lifestyle, depending upon, what you want to choose. Bringing healthy snacks, this could definitely be helpful, in the car, on a bus, definitely, pack some snacks if you put it in your backpack or your carry-on bag, in your luggage, obviously things that are not too perishable, but we'll talk about some options that could be good for packing some snacks. Maybe for planning, you could think about staying active. Are you going to pack a pair of sneakers or maybe some workout clothes? Is there a gym where you're going, or are you going to be able to walk outside somewhere? So think about maybe keeping active with the trip that you're taking, so that will help too. And then, of course, making sure that you're staying hydrated, especially with water on the plane or wherever you're going. Definitely keep that hydration going. That keeps your energy levels up as well. Maybe think about packing some, like we said, the workout clothes, the sneakers, maybe some small weights if they're not too heavy, wrist weights or ankle weights maybe, or resistant bands. Those are really good for travel. A weighted vest, these are all things that might be able to be packed. Maybe not so much on the plane, a weighted vest, but maybe in your car or, something like that. But the resistant bands can really, fold up really nicely. Hotels, definitely, usually most hotels have some sort of a gym, or sometimes they even have activities planned. You might find yoga on the beach. So you might find some classes available or some pool aerobics. There's different kinds of activities that might be where you're staying. You could call ahead and find out. Or maybe if there's a nearby park that you can walk, or a beach or park or somewhere, or if it's a city travel, maybe, walking, some walking trails or, something like that you can find out what's nearby to keep yourself active so you can keep your energy up, keep your healthy lifestyle going. if you have your resistant bands or you bring some light weights, you could even use the TV and go on YouTube for some exercise ideas, or your phone. You know, there's definitely a lot of apps that you could go to for some exercise routines as well if you're inside doing exercise. Hotel menus or searching some local restaurants, we said you could even check out and see what options are available. Maybe try to avoid the fast food, or if that's your only option, we could look for some healthy options. Most restaurants and fast food do offer healthy options. It's just a matter of choosing it. Some of the fast food do have calorie. You can find the nutrition information, which could be helpful. Some chain restaurants and fast food restaurants, so you could even check out those nutrition information as well. Try to start your day with breakfast. It's really going to kick off your energy and your fuel for the day. So that's going to definitely help you to feel your best. Here are some ideas what you could pack or bring that are, you know, for the most part, non-perishable, things that you could take in a carry-on, pack in your bag, you know, for some easy go-to, maybe more like snacks. They might not be like a meal, but you could maybe use them more for snacks if there's like a protein bar that you like, or you could do something protein, options that will give you protein to keep you nice and full. Protein tends to keep you nice and full between the meals, so opting for some protein. That you could get little packs of things, maybe like a roasted edamame or chickpea or a turkey jerky or some kind of lean meat stick type thing, or nut butter packs or nuts. These are all good. That can sort of be pretty easy to travel with. Maybe some fiber to keep you regular. It also fills you up. Maybe some dried fruit or trail mixes, whole grain crackers, or like a light popcorn. These are kind of easy and transportable type options to have as well. We said hydration is important. You know, bringing your water bottle that could be refilled, whether you're, you know, with travel or in a hotel. If you don't want to keep buying water bottles, you could bring your own bottle. They even sell collapsible ones that can fit in a bag. So that could be easy. Maybe some herbal tea bags. They have the hot or the cold, which could be nice for a little flavor there. Electrolyte packets, if you feel like you're going to be in a hot place and you're going to be sweating or doing some exercise, you might want to even carry those with you. Those could be easily added to some water. Ginger chews, those could be really good if you feel like you get a little nauseous with either car travel or airplane travel. They can be good for your digestion. They settle your stomach and that type of thing. So those could also be good to have on hand. The P for prioritize, we said prioritize. At restaurants, again, scanning the menus in advance, whether you're home or away from home, is always a good technique. Because now you can look ahead of time and not when you're like starving. I feel like when you get to the restaurant is usually when it's the hardest because we're hungry, the foods smell good. There's the menu, which has so many options on it. It can be a little overwhelming, but you might find that scanning the menu in advance might help you to have a little bit of a plan or a strategy. So I always recommend scanning the menu in advance just to kind of see and plan a little bit and prioritize your healthy options. Look for balance, see where you can like balance your meal, having like a protein with a grain or a starch and some vegetables. I always tell people when you're eating out, try to always get some kind of a veggie option, whether it's as a starter or as a side. So those could actually be a lot of vitamins and minerals and fiber and nutrients. So they're going to definitely give you, your body's going to benefit for that. You could always request some swaps, Like if the meal comes with fries, you could ask, well, could I swap it for a salad or a side of broccoli? You know, you could always ask for some kind of swaps. This way, you're keeping with your options there, your healthy options. Maybe watch the portions. You know, a lot of times they're giving you double, triple the portions. Maybe take half with you if you're able to save it. You could always, if you're going to a house, you might have a kitchen, you might be able to save it. But you know, you could try to watch the portions, maybe order smaller portions, maybe an appetizer portion, or maybe you can share something with someone. So you can always try to keep portions in mind as well. Airports and even hotels, you know, a lot of times, like I said, you can find some healthy options there too. I know a lot of the airports do. You can find salads. Even the fast food restaurants have salads. A lot of times you can find like yogurt parfaits or some build your own bowls. They might have green bowls or salad bowls. So you can maybe try to look for some of those type of choices. Obviously there's fruits. Maybe instead of getting candy, maybe try to opt for something like a fruit that's going to have vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So definitely airports have gotten better with finding more options available there. Hotels, maybe the hotel has a mini fridge where you could store some of your foods that you bring, or if there's a grocery store nearby, you could always pick up a few things to have on hand and store in the mini fridge. Or sometimes hotels will even store it for you. I've asked for if I brought something back or bought something, they'll store it for you. So you may even be able to do that. You could ask them about doing something simple like that. Obviously, like I said, we want to try to obviously enjoy. I mean, travel is all about enjoying, trying local foods, you know, maybe eating foods that you don't normally have when you travel, and that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You can definitely enjoy the different options that are available, savor the local dishes, but maybe don't splurge every day on the trip. Maybe pick 1 or 2 nights, depending on how long you're going. You could pick a few times to maybe splurge a little bit more or get a little bit more indulgent than you usually do, and that's okay. That's called balance. That's called, you know, moderation. Okay, so we're trying to avoid the extremes with eating, and that's fine. And maybe if you have one indulgent meal, then maybe the next one you'll make it a lighter meal. So we'll try to balance our meals in the day. These are all good ways to kind of keeping on track with your healthy lifestyle. All right. Obviously, like we said, keeping active is also going to help with maybe the more indulgent eating as well. Keeping active as best as you can. Maybe finding some walking tours. A lot of cities have walking tours, and instead of taking a bus tour, maybe you'll opt for a bike tour or a walking tour, and you'll build in the activity into the trip. So those tours could definitely help. Sometimes they have tasting tours, that's fine, but build in the walking alongside it. Or maybe if there's a hike trail available where you're going, or a park, you could see where you could build in the activity. Maybe track your steps. And that can help you to see how, you know, active that you're being. If there's a pool on the premises, swimming, or like I said, maybe they have some water aerobics or something like that. So you can still enjoy without overdoing it. That's sort of the main idea here. Trying to keep hydrated is very important, like we said, and depending on the climate that you're going, if you're going to a really warm, hot climate, you might have to keep even more hydrated. Or if you're going to a different altitude, if you're going to be in the mountains, you probably need to be more hydrated. So it kind of depends on the type of trip that you're going on, but definitely water is going to be your best hydrator, especially on flights. The air is very dry, and like we said, with the altitude, you're going to find that your best hydrator is water. The alcohol and the caffeine could be dehydrating, so they make you feel even more tired, or maybe a headache, or you might just feel a little off if you're getting a little dehydrated. So I would be careful with that, but definitely drinking the water. And depending upon, how long the flight is, you might need to refill multiple times in the flight to keep you well hydrated. So even digestive tips, the water can help with your digestion. Even the walking and the movement can definitely help, especially if you're feeling a little off, with your regular bathroom schedule. Sometimes even taking a probiotic or a fiber supplement with you can help if you're prone to constipation or bloating. Those could definitely help as well. And then mindful eating on the go. So what does that mean, mindful eating? That just means being tuned in. All right, so checking in with yourself from time to time. Am I feeling hungry? Am I feeling full? Am I feeling tired? Do I have energy? Like, how am I feeling? So this can help you to make better decisions. So slowing down, tuning into your body, these are all good techniques to do on a regular basis, whether you're home or you're away from home. But like I said, check in with your hunger. If you're starting to feel full, try to stop. Um, you know, Try to eat without distractions, screens and distractions. We say that even when you're home, TV or movie or wherever there might be distractions, or if you're seeing a show or something like that. But really focus on the food, like how the food looks, tastes, and makes you feel, and really slow down and enjoy it. Sometimes we just eat too quickly, and then that's when the bloating might happen, or we feel a little overfull. So we want to feel full and satisfied, and a lot of times that comes from, slowing down. So again, our checklist for travel: did we pack snacks? Did we pack our water bottle that we could refill? Did we check some restaurants that might be helpful when we're traveling, or a local grocery store? Are we going to pack our walking shoes, some workout clothes? And do we have some ideas of how we're going to keep active, walking or exercise, gym, or anything like that? Here's are just some tips and suggestions for maybe some meal ideas. And again, it depends on where you're going, how far away you're going to be, and what are the cultural foods maybe to that area. It might change depending upon where you're traveling. If you're going to a Mediterranean country, it might be something different versus if you're staying within the country. So these are just some typical maybe American style breakfasts, but obviously that it can change depending upon where you're going. But the idea here is to get some kind of a protein and maybe a fiber source to keep your energy up, to keep your fullness up, and to give you, a good balance of nutrients. So these could be some great options wherever you could throw a veggie in, if it's in your eggs or something like that. That could also, give you a lot of good vitamins and minerals. Fruits can also help with the fiber as well. Lunch ideas, it depends. If you're going to be making the lunch at a place that you're staying, like in a house that you're staying, or if you're more on a tour, it might be more limited. But you could try to opt for options where you're getting a veggie option, maybe like a salad. Like I said, even fast food places do have some of these options. So you could try to see where you could throw in some extra vegetables with salad and protein, or maybe a wrap. If those are available, those could be really good. You could always maybe even split a wrap with someone and add a side salad, or a lean protein sandwich, we said. Instead of the chips, maybe opt for a veggie option or a salad. You could ask for condiments on the side, maybe like a broth-based soup. Anything that's going to be maybe on the lighter side. I would suggest maybe avoiding fried foods, which could maybe weigh you down, or be a little on the heavier side, a little richer side. Snacks that you could keep on hand, we kind of already mentioned a lot of these. These could be packed, or maybe you could find them at the grocery store or at the hotel. I would, see if you can get those, or like I said, even calling ahead and seeing what the hotel offers. These could all be good protein, fiber sources to fill you up. And then dinner's going to vary, but like I said, Try to opt for maybe lighter choices to keep your healthy lifestyle going. Maybe it's something that's grilled or baked or broiled or steamed or even a stir fry. These are all good cooking methods that you know are tend to be lower fat and a little less caloric. So you could opt for those. Like I said, try to get some kind of a veggie option. Maybe avoid the fancy apps or the fried foods and the extra breads on the side. But try something local. Try something cultural to that area. Something different from what you normally eat. I think that's always good to do. And see what the local options are. You could always split things with someone, or like I said, maybe order smaller portions of things, whatever you can do to, to try that out. Maybe some unsweetened beverages, watch the sodas and the juices, and of course the alcohol, especially a lot of the mixed drinks that have a lot of sugar in them. We said you could start with a veggie option. That will help to keep you full. It'll get some fiber in. So any kind of a salad could be good as a main, a side, or a starter. These could always be good. Maybe opt for some olive oil based dressing and ask for it on the side. This way you could modify the amount, maybe try to avoid like the creamier, richer dressings. Think half plate vegetables. So see if you could, we said swap out any of the fried options with a veggie option, maybe something that's steamed or sauteed or roasted, or like we said, even a stir fry. It's going to add color to your dish, but it's going to help to fill you up and give you a lot of nutrients. So something like this plate, this might be easier if you're in control of the foods. Obviously, if you're going to a house of some sort, you're going to be doing some preparations. When you're out at restaurants and all, it might be a little more challenging, but sometimes you can get a double portion of veggie. You might have to ask. Get that protein option, maybe some kind of a smaller portion of a starch, or you could split it with someone. So there might be some ways that you could also mimic this plate when you're out. Trying to keep the proteins lean. As for condiments on the side, a lot of times the richness of the meal might be in those condiments on the side. So you could always ask for gravies or sauces or dressings on the side and maybe just add a little bit just for the flavor. Keep things a little bit lighter. Try to avoid the creamy, the cheesy sauces. These are going to be a little heavier. And if you decide to have an indulgent meal, like we said, that's okay. Maybe balance it out with a lighter meal later on. And then your liquid calories, obviously, watching the sugary drinks, sodas and juices, lemonades, iced teas, obviously cocktails, things like that. Trying to, wherever you can, especially in the hot weather, or like we said, if you're flying, maybe keep things more to water or things that are unsweetened to keep you well hydrated. Try to stay mindful of the alcohol. Sometimes, with the alcohol, it could increase your appetite. It can maybe cause you to be eating a little bit more or make you a little more snacky. So just, keeping that in mind as well. This is just a little bit of a visual, not the best copy, a little bit blurry, but it just kind of gives you an idea how the sugars can add up. Especially with the beverages there. You have the sugary beverages, the soda, or even the juices. Even though these are natural, it's very concentrated sugars. So again, it can increase the calorie intake, increase the sugars. So, just paying attention to your snacks, maybe checking the label and seeing what it says in terms of the sugars, maybe opting for the smaller packs that have less. Or just swapping it out maybe for something else that will give you a little more protein and energy, like we mentioned earlier. So just staying mindful of the products and maybe checking the labels a little closer. This is a great visual. This is a day's worth of calories in beverages. So sometimes we don't realize how they can add up, you know, calorie-wise, even with just various drinks, whether it's coffee drinks that we get out, or juices, or like we said, it could be sweet tea. It just kind of shows you how quickly, and even in the course of a day, how they can add up. And that's the drinks even without the food. So just paying attention, being a little bit mindful, see if we can stick to more of the unsweetened beverages. Those are going to help to keep maybe the calories more controlled, and you know, keep us on our wellness path. Your hand can be a good tool for portion control. I always tell people, you know, you take your hands wherever you go. So if you're not sure if something is higher in the portion or lower, you could always use your hand as a little bit of a guide for you. 2 handfuls sort of represents more like a cup, a measuring cup amount, which we could try to opt for with our vegetable intake. You know, we're trying to include more fiber, more vegetables, which tend to be less calories, more nutrient dense. So, you know, thinking of 2 handfuls or half the plate to fill up with those vegetables, maybe a fist when it comes to like your greens or starchy foods, potato, rice, pasta, even the fruit, more of the carbohydrate sources, a quarter of the plate, or maybe like your fist. And then a palm-sized amount of protein is typically a good amount of your lean protein. The thumb for any condiments, which is more like a tablespoon if you're drizzling like olive oil or salad dressing or ketchup or mayo, you know, things like that. So those could be good sort of visuals for portions when you're home or when you're away. And then you could tap into some really great apps. These are some apps that you could download on your phone even before you go away, or you could start utilizing it at home and then adapt it to when you're away. These could be helpful apps to stay on track with your food intake. The MyFitnessPal will track your calories, your protein, your fiber. It even tracks your water. So you could get a good idea of, you know, staying on track with your goals and your healthy lifestyle if you continue your tracking. If you plan to be, you know, away and you want to continue to track, you could use any one of these apps. They can be very helpful tools to keep you on track with your goals. These are more for grocery or meal delivery, which if you're staying at a house or an apartment, you know, you might be doing some of your cooking while you're away. You know, Instacart could deliver to, most cities do have like an Instacart, or Amazon Fresh, Uber Eats, DoorDash. So these could all be helpful. Even when you're away, obviously when you're home, but even when you're away, depending upon where you're traveling, you might be able to tap into that as an option for some meal delivery or grocery delivery, depending upon if you don't have a car with you. This might be a little bit more helpful. And for fitness and movement, these are some good. There's the Map My Walk, or the 7 app. That's a 7 minutes of activity app that you could even do in a hotel room. It might have you doing like push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, you know, things like that. The Map My Walk could do more for like a walking trail, or there's the All Trail. So some of these could be helpful with fitness and movement. Like I said, you could even use YouTube. So there's a lot of videos that you can tap into as well. These are some other websites. If you're vegan, you could check out the Happy Cow website. They sort of tell you, depending upon where you're going, some vegan restaurants or places that you could, maybe farmers market or something where you could get some vegan options. There's restaurant menu websites, depending upon the restaurant that you're going. You can look up their menus. Like I said, a lot of chain restaurants have the nutrition information, so you could look up, like if it's Panera, you could go to their website and they would have the options. They might tell you calories and nutrition information. Even on Open Table, if you're reserving a restaurant, they will give you the menu. So you could also tap into that and look at that ahead of time. Yelp has more like reviews, but you could check out the reviews and see if it fits your tastes and choices and lifestyle. Another helpful website is the iTrain for more like workouts, or we said even YouTube. On YouTube, you could look at resistant band workouts. If you packed your resistant bands, you could even look for like a 10-minute resistant band workout, something like that, and you can find something. So even Peloton has an app that you could tap into workouts from there as well. So there's, as you can see, there's definitely a lot of options here with travel. Travel, obviously, we can enjoy travel, we can experience many different foods and flavors and enjoy every aspect of it. But we could also, like I said, I always tell people, take your healthy lifestyle with you. Don't leave it at home. You know, take it with you. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more energized. So bring it with you. And like I said, with some planning, planning, packing, prioritizing, and even pausing to really tune in and stay mindful, you're going to feel your best, whether you're home or you're away from home. So hopefully this, talk tonight gave you some inspiration, gave you some strategies, some tips that you could go away and still keep your healthy lifestyle going. Think moderation, balancing your meals and maybe planning ahead and enjoying yourself while keeping your lifestyle going. So thank you all for being here. I really appreciate the time and the attention on this topic. And then if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Janet. That was a great presentation. I don't see any questions right now. We'll give you guys a minute or two to type in to see if you have any questions. While we're waiting, I just want to say, if you are interested in meeting with a registered dietitian, Valley Hospital does offer outpatient nutrition counseling. Most insurance companies will cover that services. If you are interested, you can always reach out to us. You can call us at 201-634-5371, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Well, I'm not seeing any questions pop up, so to be respectful of everyone's time, I'd like to say thank you to Janet for a great presentation. Thank you to the attendees for joining us. If you do have any additional questions for Janet, you can email back on the link that you received the invite to. If you have questions and you can't email us, give us a call. So please send us our questions if you have any. And with that being said, I just want to say thank you for joining us and have a wonderful evening.